dear Harrowers, and welcome to yet another, pick a picture reading with me, Medea. So for today, we're going to do an in-depth reading on your relationship, whether you're in a relationship with someone, or you're in a situationship, or even if you're single, and this could be about a future relationship or someone that you just started talking with, whatever your situation is. So this is an in-depth relationship reading for you. We're going to take a look at what's going on between you and your person, as well as the immediate future of this relationship. Today we will be using the gorgeous Tarot Mucha deck. Then I will also be pulling out some oracle cards for you for more advice and further information regarding your connection with this person. And for today, with regards to your tarot, we're going to be doing this systematically. So for your reading, what I'm going to do is on the left side is going to be all about the feminine, and then on the right side we're going to have everything about the masculine, and on the center it's going to be your shared energy in the relationship. Now it's going to be up to you to decide who's the feminine and who's the masculine, but that's how we're going to do it today. And for today, as you already saw on the thumbnail, you'll have a choice between 4 gorgeous getaway bedrooms. And in order to help you decide with your intuition, and because we have 4 groups for today, we're going to do a longer meditation, about a minute. And the music that's featured for the meditation today is an original composition by one of my dear friends. I will be linking the song below, so it's on SoundCloud if you ever want to just listen to the full song. So without further ado, let's start the meditation. Alright, so if you've already picked your group, all of the timestamps would be listed in the description below. If you still weren't able to choose one, feel free to go ahead and repeat the meditation one more time until you feel drawn to just one picture. And if you're ready, let's go ahead and start. Hello and good day to you, Harrower number 1. Let's go ahead and start with your reading. Now, like I mentioned earlier, on the left side we're going to have the feminine, on the right side we're going to have the masculine, and in the center we're going to have your shared energy for this relationship. I'm going to set your oracle cards to the side first. We'll be taking a look at them later on, but we're going to start off with the Island Time Wellness cards. So this is to help me determine your roles in this relationship. Now for the feminine, we got the Coffin. So endings bring new beginnings, growth, change, liberation and transition. So there we go. Coffin for the feminine. And then for the masculine, we have ascending. So transcending obstacles, learning, expansion, new phase, preparing for union. Okay, so let me just go ahead and set those aside over there. So first off, this tells me that for this relationship, the feminine's role right now, well, to put it quite bluntly, the feminine is basically just so done. Done with the same old things in this relationship. For some of you, this is so done with just dealing with the masculine. The feminine is basically almost or is already just done with this relationship and is ready to just close this relationship once and for all. Whereas for the masculine here, the masculine is actually getting ready to transform this relationship. The masculine is working on their personal growth in order to be prepared for this relationship. So we're just at the very start of this reading and this is already interesting. Let's go ahead and take a look at what the tarot says about this. So let's start out with the feminine, how the feminine feels about the masculine. Okay, so let me show this to you. We have the Eight of Wands and the Eight of Pentacles. So for me, this is an energy of, for the longest time, the feminine has wanted so bad to move this relationship forward. Or for some of you, it's to jumpstart this relationship. But given that now the feminine's role in this relationship is represented by the coffin, which, by the way, this gives me the death card energy, so just ready to shut it down. So it's as if right now the feminine is just ready to move forward on her own, with her own life, to have a new start in her own life. Almost with a sense of urgency and desperation. Because for some reason it feels to me as if the feminine feels like trying to make this work with the masculine is taking so much hard work that it comes to a point that the feminine just cannot put in any more hard work just to make this relationship work. And it's interesting that both of these cards are actually 8. So the 8 is reminiscent of the infinity symbol. And that to me denotes that this has just been going on and on and on and on without things ever changing. And so I feel like it's just come to that point wherein the feminine is just desperate for a change. That something just needs to change. That the feminine just can't go on like this anymore. Cannot put in any more hard work than they already have for this relationship. Now let's go ahead and take a look at how the masculine feels about the feminine. Alright, the first one that we have is the Wheel in reverse. And we also have the Fool in reverse. Okay. Now for the masculine felt as if they just kept on messing things up with the feminine. It seemed like it was one bad thing after another, some of which are actually not even in their control. and they feel pretty stupid. They're actually afraid as well that the feminine thinks that they are pretty stupid. And the masculine feels like, because of these things that have happened in the relationship, like they cannot have a start with the feminine anymore. They feel as if they have no way to move this relationship forward. And at the same time, they feel as though the feminine doesn't really understand their situation. That the masculine never intended for things to be like this. And it's interesting that the masculine is represented by ascending. That's his role in the relationship. So ascending, for me, this is like the rebirth aspect of the death card. So we have here the feminine and the masculine depicting the two different aspects of the death card. Alright, let's go ahead and take a look at the shared energy in the relationship. First, we have the Queen of Wands in reverse. And then we also have the Queen of Pentacles also in reverse. Alright, so these are the driving forces for this relationship, why they're both acting the way that they're acting. So this is where the energies intersect and are similar. So what I'm feeling here is there's this, first of all, impatience. Impatience on the feminine side, that she's no longer willing to just bear with this just for the sake of making the relationship work. And then on the masculine side, this is impatience to be able to fix things. And at the same time, there's mutual resentment on both sides for different reasons. The feminine feels resentment towards the masculine because the feminine feels as if they're the only ones who are really putting in the effort or the more effort into the relationship. Meanwhile, the masculine feels resentment towards the feminine because they feel as if the feminine is not making it any easier on them, and that a lot of these things are not even in their control. And because of the Queen of Pentacles here, there's this feeling that they're just not able to support each other. They're not able to help each other. Both of them are not able to make things any easier for the other person. Let's go ahead and take a look at why it's the coffin for the feminine. Why the feminine is just so ready to close the lid already on this relationship, whereas the masculine is willing to transform it. Alright, so we have here the Three of Swords. This here is clear as day. The feminine got hurt because of the masculine. Deeply hurt because of the actions of the masculine. Alright, let's go ahead and take a look at why the feminine was hurt by the masculine. Let's see. Alright, so first off, we have here the Eight of Cups in reverse. We have another 8 there. And then we also have the World card in reverse. Okay. This here tells me that the masculine just was not able to prioritize the feminine. The feminine was always just inside the masculine's heart and in his thoughts, underneath the masculine's deepest consideration lies the feminine. However, there was just too much things going on around the masculine and around the relationship. Things that the masculine just couldn't turn away from. Responsibilities that the masculine just couldn't let go in order to prioritize the feminine. And that's why he wasn't able to, and this in turn hurt the feminine, because all this time the feminine just kept on pushing and fighting and working hard just to make this connection work, only for the masculine to not prioritize the feminine. So this is where our conflict arose from. Alright, let's go ahead and see the future of this relationship. First of, for the side of the feminine, we have the Queen of Swords in reverse. We also have the Five of Wands in reverse. And we also have the Three of Wands. Alright, now for the feminine, future of this relationship, the feminine will just come to a point where they're just not going to deal with the masculine anymore at all. That the feminine is just going to completely cut off the masculine and say, I don't want to deal with this anymore. I cannot do this anymore. There's nothing good that I can tell you, so I'd rather just keep quiet rather than say mean things. In order to just avoid saying mean things, I'd rather just keep quiet and just cut you off. So that's why the feminine's role in the relationship is the coffin. The feminine is just ready to go for a fresh start, to look at what more is out there. The feminine is just going to expand her horizons. Let's go ahead and take a look at the future of this connection for the masculine. First off, we have the King of Swords. Okay. And then we have the Knight of Pentacles. Alright. And the last one we have is the Star in reverse. Okay, this is very interesting. So this stays true to the fact that ascending is the role of the masculine in the relationship. So the masculine in the near future will be ready to be the one this time to work on the relationship, to be the one to make the effort this time. So the masculine's head is clear now after going through all this. This is the energy that the masculine will be at, which is looking back at everything that's happened, finally being able to have a clear view of the situations, finally gonna be able to come up with a plan on what strategy to do next, to find ways to ground this relationship, even if it's a slow process. The masculine is willing to put in the work to lay the foundations for a fresh start for this relationship. However, there's this underlying feeling of fear of what if the feminine doesn't want this anymore? What if it's too late? But at the same time, even if there's an underlying fear here, even if they think that it might be too late, it's as if they have no other choice but to still take that risk. Now, I can already tell here very clearly between these two, it's going to be the masculine who's going to reach out towards the feminine to reconnect if ever they do come to a point where the feminine just completely cuts off the masculine. Finally, let's go ahead and take a look at the shared energy for the future of this relationship. First off, we have the Six of Pentacles. And finally, we also have the Ace of Cups. This is very beautiful. Alright, so contrary to how the masculine feels, all hope is not lost for this connection. I can feel here that for the future of this relationship, there's this proposition coming from the masculine, wherein the masculine is saying, alright, it's my turn to give to this relationship, to prioritize this relationship, to make an effort for this relationship, to do what it takes to make it work. It's my turn to take care of you. And it's your turn to just sit back and relax, if you're still willing to accept me back. And then from the feminine, I get this energy of saying, well, unless you're going to be the one to come up with something, I am just done with this relationship. I'm not talking to you anymore. I'm done fighting for this relationship. And I'm ready to just move forward. But if you're going to come up with an offer, if you're just going to change, if somehow things are going to be better, then I am ready. I'm ready to make new plans with you. I'm ready to look towards a new future with you, because the final future energy for the relationship is the Ace of Cups. This is a new emotional beginning. Since this whole reading, the feminine and the masculine is obviously ruled by the Death card energy, so this here is the rebirth of this connection. This is a very clear second chance for this connection. However, this is dependent on what the masculine is going to do about this. Because unless the masculine is going to do something, the feminine is just done. So it all depends on what move the masculine is going to make towards the relationship. Alright, let me go ahead and just clean this up. Then we're going to move on to your oracle cards. Alright, so now for your oracle cards, we're going to start off first with the Healing Mantra Oracle. So this is to take a look at what is it that each of you needs to work on for the relationship, to improve the relationship. For the feminine, it's receiving elation. So this says, I am born of infinite joy. And then for the masculine, we have inviting ecstasy. So this is, I am worthy of all the pleasure my heart desires. Alright, wow. So for the feminine, this tells me that what you need to work on is receiving joy. Just because some things are not working out in this relationship doesn't mean that everything else in your life needs to be miserable. This tells me that even when things are tough, allow yourself to receive the small joys from small things. Don't bypass the small enjoyments, because those are the things that are going to get you through these tough situations. Those are like the only consolations that you have, so you might as well take it. Don't close yourself off from receiving happiness, because that will just get you even more stressed out. And I say this with or without the masculine. This is something that you need to practice, even in your own individual life. This might just be the thing to help you become less uptight. Now, for the masculine, this is inviting ecstasy. This tells me that the tougher that the situation gets, what they should do is to actually seek out the feminine more. That this would have actually helped to de-stress them from the things that they are dealing with that are affecting the relationship. If they sought some form of comfort with the feminine, and maybe that way the feminine might have felt less like they were being neglected by the masculine. Now, with these two cards together for these two people, if the feminine ever does decide to just cut off the masculine and just break it off, I am not going to be surprised if there is a breakup sex first. And why the hell not? Because the two of you are just both stretched so thin that you both need to loosen up together. Enjoy with each other. Enjoy each other. Alright, next we're going to look at the Whispers of Love Oracle for some advice on what you each need to individually practice so that you can invite more love into your lives. Now, for the feminine, we have practice compassion. See things from a fresh perspective. And then for the masculine, we have treasure your loved ones. It is important to love others deeply. Okay. I think this is pretty straightforward. The feminine needs to try to put herself in the shoes of the masculine. Try to imagine what the masculine must be going through. The reason why the masculine is acting a certain way. Try to understand where that is coming from. Try to imagine if they were the one in that situation, what would they have done? And even if the masculine did end up doing it differently than the feminine would have, it's still respecting the choices of the masculine. And then for the masculine, well, the feminine put in so much hard work into the relationship. The masculine needs to practice how to show more appreciation towards the feminine. That if the masculine is trying to please other people around them, around the relationship, first and foremost, he should also at least try to please the feminine as well. This will deepen their love and connection while at the same time making the feminine feel less neglected. And in turn, it would be easier for the feminine to try to understand the situations that the masculine is dealing with. Alright, finally, we're going to look at the Romance Angel Oracle for any more advice or any other message regarding the future of this relationship. First off, for the feminine, it says, free yourself. It's time to take back control of your life. And then for the masculine, it's healing family issues. Your love life benefits as you forgive your parents. All right. So this is what it is. The feminine needs to stop trying to control the things that are out of control and to just work on the things that she can control. The feminine needs to focus more on her own life The feminine needs to free herself of her expectations from this relationship, and she needs to free herself from the past resentments in this relationship. However, if the masculine is not going to change, well, then the feminine, by all means, should free herself from the negativities that she's getting because of the masculine. The feminine should free herself from this connection if that's what it takes for her to be able to regain her own personal peace. However, with the healing family issues, this tells me that the masculine is really going to work on this. Even from the tarot earlier, and ascending, so the masculine is ready to make the effort of what it takes to fight for this connection. The masculine is going to be planning. And if you are the feminine and you know that these are the issues that the masculine has, that they are not confronting, then by all means, feel free to let them know and be the one to make them realize this. Not necessarily push them into doing something, because you can never force a person to do something out of their own will. But feel free to point this out to them. But give them the space to do this for themselves. However, if you are a married couple and this issue is something to do with your kids, and that it's the kids that's causing some rift in the relationship, then by all means, deal with it together as you see fit. But overall, and this is only my personal opinion, I can see hope for this relationship and this connection. So that's it, my Harrower number 1. You have received your divine message. May God bless you. And if you would like to get a personal reading from me so that you can ask more questions about your situations and your relationship for clarifications, then feel free to send me a message through my Facebook page. All of the instructions and details will be listed in the description below. So that's it for today. Keep on cultivating, and bye! Hello and good day, my Harrower number 2. So like I mentioned earlier, on the left side we'll be having the feminine, and then on the right side we'll have everything about the masculine, and in the center we will have your shared energy for this full relationship reading. Now, for your oracle cards, I will be setting them aside first. We're going to look at them later on. We're going to start with the Island Time Wellness card just to see each of your roles in this relationship. So for the feminine, we have lightning, sudden change, shocking news, surprise, epiphany, upheaval, transformation. So let me just set that aside over here. And then for the masculine, we have date, meeting someone new, dating, get back out there, plan or set a date. All right, so this is very interesting. Now, first off, what I'm getting from these two cards as your roles in the relationship, this is a fairly new connection, or even if this is already a person that you've known for quite some time, this is a new relationship. If you are together with your person for a long time already, then it means that it's a new phase for this relationship, because that's the vibe that I am getting here. Now, for the roles, the feminine with lightning. So the feminine is in absolute shock in this connection. So the feminine was not expecting the events in this relationship, or if this is a new relationship, the feminine was not expecting to even have this relationship. There's a very strong energy of disbelief that's coming through here. It's like the feminine just can't believe that this is happening. And then here we have our wonderful masculine who's just ready to court and woo the feminine. Even though I'm getting this vibe that this masculine is a little bit shy. But this is such a nice attraction that the masculine is just getting ready and preparing to pull all the moves on the feminine. So this is very interesting and cute, if I may be honest. Now, let's go ahead and look at what the tarot said. We're going to start by looking at how the feminine feels towards the masculine. And the first card that we have is the Three of Cups in reverse. Okay. And then we also have the King of Cups. All right, my dear Harrowers. This is the T right here. So, first of all, I'm getting that this feminine feels as if this is too good to be true, that this masculine is just so nice, so sweet and caring and so sensitive, that the feminine is in awe. And because of this, the feminine is actually doubting if there's really more to this connection, because it just feels too good to be true. The feminine almost tells themselves that this person is just really like that this person, this masculine, is like that to everyone else, that the feminine is not anything special. That's what they're telling themselves. There is a denial here. This feminine feels as if, oh, this masculine is probably doing this to other people as well. That maybe this masculine is just a sweet talker, or worse, even a player. But at the same time, this feminine just sees the masculine as this wonderful person that they never even expected to meet, or that they never even expected to exist. Which is a big shock for this feminine, to find and meet someone who is like this masculine. Alright, now let's take a look at how the masculine feels about the feminine. First card that we have is the Eight of Cups, and this went out sideways. Yes, just like that. I read sideways cards as well. And then we also have here the Four of Pentacles. Okay. Now, apparently, there's a little bit of a mirroring here between these two. Whereas the feminine is doubting whether this masculine is really sincere, or whether this masculine is connecting or even dating the feminine exclusively. The masculine on the other side is not sure if they can push through with a connection or relationship with the feminine. The masculine is probably subconsciously sensing some of the doubts of the feminine, and in turn is giving the masculine their own doubts as to how they can make this relationship and this connection work and progress. In a way, this masculine is actually getting a little bit frustrated, because for the masculine, it's like the feminine doesn't know that they're only doing this just for the feminine, they're not normally this smooth, if I may say. This thing took so much effort, all just to be able to impress the feminine. That's why the role of the masculine in this relationship came out as date, because the masculine here is really just putting their best foot forward while still being themselves. However, even though they get frustrated with the Four of Pentacles right here, they're not willing to let this go. They're not going to let this feminine go anywhere. They really want to make this work. They are just unsure as to how the feminine feels towards this connection, or if the feminine wants to move forward with this connection along with them. Let's go ahead and take a look at the shared energy. Alright, first we have the Hierophant in reverse. And this is together with, okay, we have the Two of Pentacles in reverse as well. So see, even in the shared space energy, it's really reflected here that this connection right now is being ruled by doubts. Doubts as to whether this will become anything more than what it is right now. Doubts as to whether this is really a serious connection or a connection that can become stable. With this Two of Pentacles, in reverse, there's a strong sense of uncertainty coming from both people as to how to move forward with this connection or what to do in this connection. Okay, let's go ahead and take a look at what's going to be the future for this connection. We're going to start off first with the future of this connection with regards to the feminine. First, we have the Sun in reverse, and then we also have the Magician. Alright, now this tells me that for the feminine in the future, the feminine will realize just how wonderful of a connection this is, that this masculine really just brings something else into their lives. That the feminine is actually really having fun with this masculine, but at the same time, there's still that disbelief, this part of them that is doubting this connection and is doubting this masculine. That the feminine is still saying, this is too good to be true, this is too good to be true. And then here with the Magician, it's like the feminine is just going to say, well, whatever. I'm going to just keep on going. I'll make the effort towards this relationship, but if it's not going to work out, then that's just fine with me as well. I'm going to keep my safe space. So there's like this tug of war within this feminine of trying to manifest the good things in this relationship, wanting this to work out, but at the same time, still trying to keep their safety net in case they fall and in case this relationship just doesn't work out. Now let's go ahead and see what's the future of this relationship with regards to the masculine. Okay, we have here the Ace of Pentacles in reverse, and we also have Judgment. Now for this masculine, they really want to ground this relationship, but they don't know how. They want to offer something more for the feminine. They want to offer stability for the feminine. They want to reassure the feminine, but they don't know how. And this is going to be a tough decision in the part of the masculine on what they're going to do about this, because the masculine just simply feels like whatever it is that they can offer towards the feminine, that the feminine might not accept it, or that the feminine might not need it or might not want it. So this is really a tough call for them, but eventually they're going to have to just decide, and they will. that alright, whatever the feminine is going to say, whether they accept it or not, I've no other choice but to just go for it. Because I really want to make this work. So even if I am afraid that the feminine will not want me, I've no other choice but to just shoot my shot. Alright, let's go ahead at the shared space energy for the future of this connection. First off, we have the King of Wands. And then we also have, the Three of Swords. Let's go ahead and figure this one out. Alright, so what I'm feeling for the future of this connection, these two people, the feminine and this masculine, has an insane attraction. These are two people who just really, really like each other. The feminine has never met anyone like this masculine, and this masculine is just very much in awe of this feminine. However, the unfortunate thing here is with this Three of Swords, this tells me that these two people will only finally realize how they really feel about each other and how special this connection is once they get hurt because of this, especially for the feminine. Now this here is very tricky, especially for the feminine, because the feminine is like, no, I don't want to get hurt. I don't want to get hurt again. I'd rather just avoid this if I'm going to get hurt by it. But here's the thing, love is not just all about the happy days. Pain will always be part of it as well, because sometimes when you get hurt because of love, that's the only time that you actually realize how much you really care for the person, how much that person really meant to you. What with the saying that you don't know what you have until it's gone. Sometimes this is also what it takes for you to finally be able to appreciate the person and the efforts that the person puts in for you, is when you get separated from them and you start to miss those little things that they used to do for you. Whereas for the masculine, this is the realization that, alright, no matter what it is that I have to offer, whether I think it's insignificant or not, or whether it's unwanted, I just want to give whatever I can. Because I have to take that shot. Because I really like this person and I cannot bear being away from them. So I just have to do whatever I can, regardless of what I fear they might say, or regardless of how hurt I felt being judged by them. Whew! Alright, finally, let's go ahead and see what is the final outcome for this connection after this. Because this, for me, this is an unfinished story. This doesn't look like it ends right here. No matter how stubborn these people might be, no matter how shy or scared this masculine might be. Alright, so first we have, and this is shared space by the way, this is the World in reverse. We also have the Ace of Wands in reverse. And finally, we have the Six of Swords. Alright. See, this tells me that this separation or this time apart from each other is really just going to turn both of these people's lives upside down. They might not have completely realized it, but they were already so used to being with one another. And this reverse world card right here tells me that after this heartbreak, it will come to a point where they just can't bear it anymore. That this is too much. Literally, them being apart is like turning and flipping their world upside down. And they will come to a point where they just can't go on like this. That it has to end. It cannot just keep on being like that. That it's too miserable. With this Ace of Wands in reverse, it's like taking away their inspiration. Taking away that big important piece that brought color into their lives. That's what it's going to be like, getting separated from one another. So the final outcome of this is that it will come to a point after this heartbreak that these two people will realize how special this connection is, and these two people will just decide, alright, I don't know how we are going to make this work. I have no idea how we're going to do this. But I'm willing to do whatever it takes just to move forward with you. That I'm ready to move on to calmer waters with you. Towards the future, whatever that means for us. I'm ready to just go away with you or move forward with you to the next level. Whatever and wherever that might be, as long as we're together. Whew, alright, my Harrower number 2. This is really the tea, I told ya. Let's go ahead and take a look at what your oracle cards have to say about this. Let me just go ahead and clean up the tarot. Alright, so here are your oracle cards. We're going to start with the Healing Mantra Oracle deck first to see what advice you need to hear or what you need to work on in this relationship. So for the feminine, it is befriending pain. Oof. When discomfort becomes a friend, my most limiting beliefs are healed. Isn't that just accurate? And then for the masculine, we have here overcoming fear. So it says, I will transcend every loss. I think that these are just perfect. These are exactly what these two people need to work on in this relationship. Now for the feminine, this is exactly what I was talking about. Befriending pain. You have to understand that pain will always be part of love, will always be part of relationship. Learning to accept that makes it so much easier to deal with it. Now, I just want to make something clear here. I would like to just point out, I'm not telling you to be a masochist, to just take it all in. There's a big difference between befriending pain versus allowing someone to hurt you. First and foremost, it's a question of whether the person even intended to hurt you. Whether you got hurt because of the doing of the person. Or was it just your own fears, your own doubts? Was it just something that was in your mind? Did you unintentionally hurt yourself by overthinking? You have to learn to make the clear distinctions between these things to be able to apply and understand this. But basically what I am saying is, don't reject or throw away love just because there's a possibility that you might get hurt from it. Don't take yourself out of the game just so that you will never lose. This is all about balance and appreciating the pain that sometimes comes with loving someone. Because this is a pain that's proof that you are alive and that you dared to love. Now for the masculine, this is pretty straightforward. The masculine needs to stop being afraid of just messing things up with the feminine. The masculine needs to stop being afraid of making the move towards this relationship or being afraid of how the feminine might feel about them in a way that it limits them from being able to just move freely into this connection and to just express themselves freely. This masculine needs to stop doubting themselves. Confidence is a very important key, especially in courting someone. Now we're going to take a look at the Whispers of Love Oracle for advice for the feminine and masculine on what they need to do individually so that they can invite more love into their respective lives. So for the feminine, we have here, treasure your loved ones. It is important to love others deeply. And then for the masculine, we have express love through gifts. A small token of love can convey great appreciation. So this is very beautiful right here and very accurate for these two. This is basically all about appreciation. That's what it comes down to. For the feminine, you have to learn to appreciate the things that the masculine is doing. It's important to just take things as they are instead of being suspicious as to their motive or thinking, oh, maybe they're just doing this for other people as well. Well, they are doing it for you and you have to learn how to appreciate that. Exactly as for what it is, regardless of anybody else. This is between the two of you. Don't be afraid or don't hold back from being the one who sometimes makes an effort towards the masculine as well. Because you already know that whatever effort it is that you are putting in, it's going to be reciprocated. This is not a one-sided thing. And this applies for all your other relationships as well, even for family or friends. The feminine needs to understand that when you give love, you also receive love. So don't be afraid of being the person who expresses love towards other people, showing them appreciation even through small things. Now for this masculine with express love through gifts, I take this literally because I could really see that this masculine is courting this feminine. So the masculine should not think twice about giving gifts to the feminine, especially because I feel like this is something that would also make them happy. They'd be happy to just give gifts towards the feminine. But at the same time, this tells me that they have to lean more towards concrete forms of showing their love and expressing their love. Because as shy as I can feel this masculine is quite a sweet talker. So this masculine mostly expresses themselves through words. But as a way to also back up those words and just supplement it, they also need to express this love and their feelings with action, with something that's concrete, so that they can ground this connection, so that they can, prove easier to the feminine that they are serious and sincere about this. Because I really feel like the feminine just needs some solid proof that the masculine is serious about them. And at the same time, like I mentioned, they'd also be doing this for themselves, because the more that they're able to do things like this, especially if they're going to see that it's being appreciated, the more confident they're going to feel in doing more things like this, or in moving this connection forward. So this is very interesting. Now, finally, we're going to take a look at the Romance Angel Oracle cards for some other advice for the future of this relationship, or some other message that you need to hear regarding the future of this relationship. Now, for the feminine, we have there we go. The bomb just got dropped. So this is soulmate. Yes, this is your soulmate. And then for the masculine, we have let your friends help you. Ask for and accept support from others. All right. Oh, there we go. This is a done deal right here. If you're the feminine and you're still having doubts, this is the confirmation. I don't know how clearer this can get. So yes, there is a future for this relationship. This was meant to happen. This is not like just any other relationship. This is special. Now, however, I'm not saying that for all of you this is going to be a forever relationship. There are many kinds of soulmates, but what this tells me is that it's all going to be up to you on what you're going to do. But if you will so choose, then yes, this can work out and this can last. But you have to do your part to make this happen. And first and foremost, you have to believe in it. Now, for my masculine, this is very interesting as well, especially with their role in this relationship, which is date. So they're courting this feminine. Don't be afraid to ask for help from other people. Ask for advice. Ask for tips. What can you do? Are they going to like this? Are they going to like that? If you know the friends of the feminine, you can ask them as well for advice on how to approach the feminine. And then at the same time, for most of you, especially since soulmate came up, don't be afraid to ask your divine guides for help in making this relationship work, in making this relationship happen, because there is divine guidance and divine timing at work in this connection. So there we go, Harrower number 2. That's it for today. If you would like to get a personal reading from me, to know more about this connection, if you have questions, specific questions that you want to be answered regarding this, feel free to just send me a message on my Facebook page. The information is going to be listed in the description below. And there we go. You have received your divine message for today. May God bless you and keep on cultivating. Bye! Hello and welcome, my Harrower number 3. So here we go. I hope that you are comfortable and relaxed, because we're about to spill the tea. And like I mentioned earlier, what we're going to do for this reading, here on the left side, it's going to be all about the feminine. On my right side, it's going to be all about the masculine. And in the center, we're going to put the shared energy for this connection. So let me just go on ahead and put your oracle cards to the side. We're going to take a look at them later. Oh, and if you're wondering why the tarot cards look like a cross, so for this particular reading, yes, I do read sideways cards when it's called for, especially when it's a relationship reading. So we're going to go on ahead into that very soon. But first, we're going to start off with the Island Time Wellness card. So this is so that we can determine each of your roles into this relationship. For the feminine, we have Coffin. Endings bring new beginnings, growth, change, liberation, transition. Very, very interesting start. And then for the masculine, we have the Golden Mirror. Self-absorbed, narcissist, one-sided relationship, love bombing. Oh my goodness, this really here is the tea. Very, very interesting. Off the bat, this is not exactly a one-sided relationship, but this could be an on and off relationship. For others, this could be a situationship. And if for you this is actually a long-standing relationship, then definitely this is a complicated one. Now for the feminine with that Coffin, the feminine is just so done with something. The feminine's been beaten down, dragged, even hanged with this relationship. And with the Coffin there, it seems like this feminine just cannot go on like this for much longer, if at all. And this is all because of our masculine right here. Now let's just go ahead and put it out there. Now I personally do not like labeling or stereotyping people, but we're just gonna go ahead and say it because it appeared on the card. The card says it. So we're going to have to use it. This masculine is a narcissist, or at the very least, have narcissistic tendencies. Now, I am not diagnosing anyone here. We are just here to try to describe the situation, to shed light into the situation. Because at the very, very, very least, this is a selfish masculine. If so far with these two cards that already resonated with you, then please stay put for the whole reading. We're going to take a look if that stereotype, this is going to hold truth, and if not, then we're here to discover the truth. Okay. Woo! This group is juicy. Okay, now we're going to go ahead and look into the tarot. First off, we're going to start with how the feminine is feeling towards this masculine. And the first card that we have is Justice in reverse. Okay. Next card that we have is the Page of Swords in reverse. And then we also have the Ten of Wands. Oof. This feminine has suffered and this feminine has been burned. I'm getting these strong feelings of why and how could you, just from this reverse justice card here. The feminine definitely feels like she has been wronged in this situation and this relationship. Coming from the feminine's energy right here, there's the strong accusations of, how can you do this to me? You deceived me. You manipulated me. You charmed me and you took advantage of me. Those are the feelings that I am getting from this, and that this has just become so heavy for the feminine that this feminine is about to snap if they haven't already. Whew, alright. Let's go ahead and take a look at how the masculine is feeling towards the feminine. Let's see what this is all about. Okay, so what we have right here is the Death card in reverse. Now, for me, this masculine is just not ready to change. Not ready to change their ways, or incapable of changing their ways, that they're in too deep and into themselves, especially with that self-absorbed, that they just don't know any other way. They don't even know how to change. They don't see any way out of this, because this, the way that they've been, is all that they know. They really just don't know how to be otherwise, and they never even had this idea that they could possibly ever change. So this is a very foreign concept to them. Alright, let's take a look at the shared energy for this relationship so that we can find out more. First that we have is the 8 of Wands, and this is our first sideways card. Aside from the 8 of Wands, we also have Strength. Okay. Now, from this 8 of Wands sideways, this is what I'm talking about. There's this ruling energy of back and forth into this relationship. The feminine is going back and forth between coming towards the masculine and stepping away from the masculine due to getting hurt. And then for the masculine, it's this energy of wanting to be completely vulnerable with the feminine, and then at the same time pulling away from the feminine, never wanting the feminine to see that side of them. So it's back and forth between those things for each of them. But now, with the Strength card right here, there's this energy of these two people both just holding it together, holding this together. That no matter how broken this relationship might get, not willing to let go of the other person. There's this feeling of counting on each other for different things, and depending on one another for their own reasons as well. And that's what held this relationship together, why it's not completely gone. It's this strength right here that's able to endure the back and forth so far. Okay, let's go ahead and take a look more into this masculine. What is going on with this masculine? What is this thing that they just cannot change? Why can't they just change? Let's go ahead and take a look. First we have, okay, 3 of Cups sideways. We also have the 9 of Pentacles sideways as well. And then finally we also have here the 3 of Pentacles. Sideways as well. Alright. I'm here to just be completely honest with you with what I'm seeing. We're trying to figure this out together, and being honest about the situation is the first step towards that. So, with that Three of Cups sideways, this masculine is definitely entertaining other people. So, flirting, talking with other people. For some of you, it could really be that this guy's just used to being a player. But I can feel here that it's not exactly what this feminine thinks. The feminine feels as if the masculine is just downright cheating, but from this, it tells me that this masculine is playing around, but not in that way that the feminine is thinking. They still have their limits, and this is actually surprising for them, because if this was in the past, then definitely this masculine would have already been cheating, like in the full sense of that word. But now, they're not able to. The most that they can do is flirt with other people, talk with other people, keep options open. But they can't just downright go full on cheating in this relationship, because this feminine, how they feel about this feminine is different than in all their other relationships before. And they've been so used to this that this actually scares them. This, for me, feels like it's something that they're just doing out of habit, but not something that really has their attention or really has any emotional or personal investment coming from them. The masculine is completely focused on the feminine. They're doing this out of habit and out of fear. Because this masculine fears that the feminine actually holds so much power over them, and they don't want to give the feminine that. Because this masculine just can't stand being alone. They can't bear it. Yes, they are independent. They are fully capable. I mean, come on, self-absorbed narcissist. Definitely, this masculine is capable of being on their own. They have a big ego, but they can't stand it. They cannot function without attention or without having someone in their life. But more importantly, they cannot function without this feminine, and this scares the hell out of them. To finally have someone who will have that much power over them. They never fully admit that. They would sometimes say those words to sweet talk the feminine, but the feminine would never believe it, because the feminine would always just feel like they're just sweet words. What the feminine doesn't understand is that those are actually true. That the masculine does feel that way about the feminine, but the masculine would never just downright admit that and give that much power for the feminine over them. But the feminine doesn't know that. The feminine just thinks that they were betrayed, that they were manipulated, that they were deceived by this masculine, that they were used, and that they just can't stand this much longer. That the feminine just can't let the masculine just get away with this anymore. Whew. Alright, let's go ahead and take a look at the future of this relationship, starting with what's in store for the feminine in the future of this relationship. First, we have here the Knight of Swords. Okay. We also have the Four of Pentacles in reverse. And then we have the Five of Pentacles. All right. Okie dokie. The feminine's really just at the breaking point already, if not yet, that this has already happened. The feminine was at the breaking point already and is just kind of ready to surrender after everything that's happened, after all the pain and suffering from this. However, before that, these three cards for me says that, alright, one last shot. The feminine wants to confront the masculine for one last time, say everything that she's been keeping in, have a full-on, no-holds-barred conversation with this masculine about everything. Hear what he has to say. This feminine is clearly going to try to get the masculine to talk before the feminine finally lets this go. Before the feminine finally lets the masculine and this relationship go once and for all. This is an ultimatum that if the masculine is not going to change, then however much this hurts, the feminine is going to just move on and walk away and just take their losses. But before that, the feminine is fighting for this one last time. Alright, let's go ahead and see how the masculine is going to react to all of this. What's their future energy in this relationship? First, we have the Chariot in reverse. And then we have Temperance. Okay. And finally, we have the High Priestess in reverse as well. Alright. Well, the way that the masculine is going to take this ultimatum, they're going to keep their cool about this. They're not going to be able to immediately decide, and especially not going to be able to immediately figure out what they're going to do about this. There's this strong message coming across to me here that just keeps on saying, I don't know how, I don't know how. The masculine definitely cannot take immediate action over this, but with Temperance here, I feel as if the masculine comes to some sort of an understanding about the situation. An acceptance of the situation for what it is. If here it says to me that they just can't change, here this one tells me there's a willingness to change, it's just that they don't know how. But at the same time, with these two cards, this tells me that there's still a realization that they don't know how to do this because they don't even understand themselves. And that's one of the main problems here, is even they themselves, they don't completely understand themselves. There are a lot of things that they know haven't been brought out to light. that they must. Now, finally, let's go ahead and take a look at the future shared space energy as to why the feminine and the masculine are acting this way. Alright, first that we have is Page of Cups. And the final card that we have for the tarot is the Ten of Cups. See, this is why. This is why. Because these two people cannot just let this relationship go without first expressing themselves, expressing each of their individual truths. Because out of all the lies, the deceptions, the confusion, the fears, this is the one thing that's actually true in this whole situation. Is that these two people, this feminine and this masculine, wants to be together, wants to have a future together. In their own way, fulfill each other. And both of these people think and feel like they're not really going to find anyone else better than each other. Or at least that makes them feel the way that the other person makes them feel in this relationship. This here is the driving force. This is where this strength card is coming from. This is the reason why these two people have been able to hold up for this long in this situation, despite everything else. And the funny thing is that happiness and fulfillment in this relationship, this is not just a possibility for this relationship. It's actually in the future of this relationship. I understand how these two people just cannot see that with everything that's happened and with everything that's going on in this relationship. But it's there nonetheless. However, this requires honesty and effort. Alright, let's go ahead and take a look at what the oracle cards have to say. So let me just go ahead and clear out the tarot first. So here we have your oracle cards. First, we're going to start with the Healing Mantra Oracle deck. So this is going to tell us what each of these two people need to work on to improve this relationship or their situation. For the feminine, we have Illuminating the Truth. It says, I am willing to see things clearly, no matter the outcome. And then for the masculine, we have Embracing Worthiness. I feel worthiness filling every cell of my body, and it feels amazing. Alright, let me just set these down here. For the feminine, this is very hard, but pretty straightforward actually. That the feminine needs to find out the truth of this. Why is this masculine acting the way that they do? Where is it coming from? It's all about shedding light into things, confronting those things. You'll be surprised at just finding out the why can change everything already. And at the same time, this tells me that the feminine should not be so quick to judge or assume, especially with the first part of the tarot that I read earlier. Things might not be exactly what they seem. Not just believing what we want to believe, but discovering things for what they really are. And only then can we develop an understanding of the other person. Now, for this masculine, this one is a very revealing card. As self-absorbed and egoistic as this person might look, in reality, this masculine is actually very insecure. This is sort of a front that they just ended living out. This is them overcompensating because on the inside they feel unworthy. And if it's them being self-absorbed versus them feeling unworthy and insecure, then they'd choose to be selfish rather than to feel this low. And even if this being self-absorbed, egoistic, and narcissistic is still unhealthy, for them it's still way much better than this one, than being insecure and feeling unworthy, even though that's not who they really are. This masculine would just rather that the feminine sees them as this rather than this. Okay, next we're going to look at the Whispers of Love Oracle. So this would be individual advice for each of these two people on how they can attract more love into their individual lives. Now, for the feminine, we have the heart of the matter. There is more going on than meets the eye. Exactly. This goes perfectly with illuminating the truth. Exactly what I've been talking about. Okay. For the masculine, this is love makes the difference. Love helps heal past hurts and provides a sense of security and self-worth. Oh my. I love how these oracle cards are coinciding with one another. Exactly. This tells me that what the feminine needs to do is to really find out the truth. Find out what's causing all of this. To try to understand, to accept that they don't have the full information, that they cannot just judge someone that they don't completely understand. This to me is giving that benefit of the doubt and at the same time keeping an open mind and an open heart until the enlightenment comes. Whereas for this masculine, the masculine needs to understand that this love that they feel towards the feminine, this love that scares them so much, is actually their path to healing. This is actually what's going to help them to get over these things that they've been dealing with for so long, that they've been struggling with. I feel like almost their whole lives up until this point. We are not justifying toxic behaviors here, but it feels to me like this masculine has gone through a lot of things, a lot of tough, horrible things, and that's why. That's their why. This is not an excuse, but this is their why. Okay, finally, we're going to look at the Romance Angel Oracle cards for the future of this relationship or any other important message that you need to hear regarding this relationship. So, let me just move these. We're going to have one card each for the feminine and the masculine, and then we have a shared energy card. So for the feminine, you have passion. Allow your heart and soul to sing with joy. Wow. Wow. just wow. For the masculine, it says, let your friends help you. Ask for and accept support from others. This is very interesting. See, for the feminine, they might come to a point where they're just really ready to give up on this relationship and to just move on with their lives, but this isn't just going to go away. This relationship is not going to go away quietly. There are too much intense feelings here that cannot just be extinguished. With passion here, this is interesting, but for me, this comes across as if this feminine does decide to break things off, it's not going to happen quietly. It's going to happen with an explosion. And what I mean by that is before this feminine goes, this masculine is going to show this feminine exactly how they feel about the feminine, just how much they feel about the feminine, but not with words, but with their body. So, you all know what I mean already. Now, for the masculine though, with let your friends help you, this to me says that they're finally going to work on their personal issues. Especially with the end of the tarot for the masculine. Even if they don't know how, there's that willingness and they will do it. So this is what they need to do, is to ask for help, to reach out to people. Now, for most of you, if this is a mental health problem for this masculine, then this masculine needs to seek professional help once and for all to address this. And they will eventually, because the last card that's for the shared energy in the future of this relationship is worth waiting for. Divine timing is at work in your love life. All right. This is beautiful, especially because the tarot ended up with the 10 of Cups. Now, if you are the feminine, I am not telling you to become a victim. Do not just take and take and take the unhealthy and toxic behaviors of this masculine. But with this worth waiting for, if a person is willing to change and is trying to change, then by all means, give them the room to do so. Give them the chance to do so. I'm not telling you to put your life on hold while you are waiting for this person, nor am I telling you to just stand by and just wait for this person while they sort through their things. But what this is saying is that if you really want this and you're willing to be patient with it, then it's definitely going to happen. But in the meantime, while this masculine is going through their own personal process, then this feminine needs to also live their lives. Because this feminine will have an almost equal amount of healing that needs to be done. Because for such a long time, they absorbed the brunt of the unhealthy and toxic behaviors of this masculine. So both of these two people need to do some healing first. But this is saying that if these two people are willing to put in that work and effort and they're willing to be patient with each other, then eventually this is what's going to come, that it's going to be worth it, because it's going to be your 10 of Cups. This relationship was not meant to have a sad ending. Because this relationship is worth so much more than what it has been so far. So there we go, my Harrower number 3. If you would like to have a personal reading with me, if you have questions regarding your situations and you want specific answers, then feel free to send me a message through my Facebook page. All of the information will be listed in the description below. You have received your divine message. May God bless you and keep on cultivating. Bye! Hello and good day to you, my Harrower number 4. Let's get right on ahead with your reading. And like I mentioned earlier, what we're going to do for this reading is we're going to have the feminine side here on the left. And then on the right side, we're going to have everything about the masculine. And on the center, we're going to look at the shared space energy for the relationship. Let me just go ahead and grab your oracle cards. I'm going to set them to the side first. We'll look at them later on. First, we're going to start off with the Island Time Wellness cards just so that we can see each of your roles in this relationship. So for the feminine, we have mask, not showing true feelings, hide, personify, pretend, delude, gaslighting. That's very interesting. For the feminine, okay, let me just set that aside there. And for the masculine, we have mirror, mirroring each other, self-image. Relationships reflect our wounds. Introspection, okie dokie. So, let me just go ahead and fix that. Now, for my feminines, why is there any need to hide or pretend? I can feel certain insecurities that the feminine feels as if the masculine knew exactly who they were or everything about them, that the masculine might not like them or might not completely accept them. The feminine feels as if there is this need to keep up appearances. Whereas for the masculine, aside from mirroring the feminine, the masculine kind of feels that the feminine is not being completely true to them. So in turn, the masculine is acting a little bit wary and is moving strategically around the feminine, while at the same time there's this feeling that the feminine and the masculine trigger each other. Insecurities, past hurts, so they bring those things out of each other. This connection brings those things out into the surface, but this is more so towards the masculine side, that it feels as if this connection triggers some pain points for them. Okay, let's go ahead and take a look at what the tarot has to say so that we can have a more in-depth look in the situation. So we're going to start off first with how the feminine is feeling towards the masculine. So let's see why it's like this. Okay, first up we have the King of Pentacles. Wow. Then we also have the Hermit. And finally we have the Knight of Pentacles. Okay, so now I understand where this feeling of having to keep up appearances, and the insecurity is coming from with the feminine. Now, apparently, this masculine is from a well-to-do family. It's as if the masculine was born with a golden spoon in their mouth. So this feminine feels this need to lock away their truest and most authentic selves just to be able to bond with this masculine, because this feminine sees themselves as just this Knight of Pentacles versus the masculine. They see the masculine as this King of Pentacles. So there's clearly a disproportion when it comes to material wealth. Because whereas this masculine came from a well-to-do family, this feminine's not necessarily poor, or at least not anymore. But for the feminine, not as wealthy as this masculine, and the feminine had to work hard for their own material wealth. And it took them a lot of hard work, and it took them much longer just to be able to save this up for themselves. So it's as if the feminine feels like they need to act a certain way just to be on the same level as this masculine. And then at the same time, I'm feeling like they are also very different when it comes to social interactions. I feel as if this feminine has more introverted tendencies, especially with that hermit. Or maybe just because this feminine has been used to being on their own for a long time and being independent. Whereas this masculine looks to be more extroverted, if not by choice. At the very least, they are used to being in front of people. It's already a part of their lifestyle that they are constantly on the watchful gazes of other people because of their background. Okay, let's go ahead and take a look at how the masculine feels about the feminine. First of all, we have this Six of Wands sideways. Yes, I do read cards sideways, especially for relationship readings. Then we also have the Wheel of Fortune in reverse. And finally, we also have Strength. Alright, so this is very, very interesting. Now, the masculine is unsure whether to pursue the feminine or whether they can overcome the challenges of this relationship. See, because they don't really know if they can conquer the feminine in a way. Because the way that this masculine looks at this feminine, so these two people come from very different backgrounds. So the masculine knows the hardships that the feminine went through. The masculine is aware of how much life experience this feminine has, and the masculine sees this feminine as this very, very strong, capable, and dependable person to be able to make it through those hardships and challenges that the feminine faced in their life. And the masculine feels very proud of the feminine for that. But at the same time, given that there is a mirror here for the masculine, so the masculine is also mirroring the insecurities that the feminine has. So whereas the feminine is insecure about the material wealth disproportion between the two of them, the masculine is insecure about the amount of wisdom and life experiences that this feminine has, whereas they've always just, kind of had it easy on their life because they come from a well-off family already. So the masculine doesn't know if they can match the feminine in that way, because Let me tell you, this masculine really admires and respects the feminine for that. Whereas it seems to me like the feminine has put the masculine on this pedestal. So there is a mirroring here of how these two people feel about each other, but it's expressed in different ways. Alright, let's go ahead and take a look at the shared energy of the relationship. First that we have is the Knight of Wands. And the next one that we have is the Queen of Wands. So first of all, there is a lot of fire in this relationship. So much passion between these two people. Oh my, the attraction here is so real that I can feel my temperature rising. Literally. These are two people who are unafraid to just run towards to the other person. As seemingly complicated as the setup might look, there might have been some pretenses here, but when it comes to the chemistry and passion, there is no pretending, no lying, and no hiding here. This is just two people expressing their honest, authentic truths. The only other thing here, though, is what I'm also getting from these combinations of the cards is that, in a way, this feminine is pretending to have this amount of confidence, the Queen of Wands. In a way, this feminine is bending her personal rules and principles just to accommodate this masculine. What I'm saying here is that this feminine is saying yes and agreeing to some things that she normally wouldn't and doesn't really like, just to be with the masculine. And as much as they appreciate it, it actually also kind of frustrates and irks the masculine. Because what I'm feeling here is, in a way, this masculine can see right through to the feminine. This masculine knows exactly who this feminine is. Because they can feel it, and because the masculine is the mirror. So the masculine is here wondering, why can't they just be honest with themselves? They're this completely wonderful person. The masculine doesn't understand why this feminine needs to hide behind this mask. But now, with regards to the feminine, what the feminine does not know is that the only reason that they are this good at faking this confidence, to have this amount of confidence, and in creating this facade of being this vivacious woman, is because the feminine doesn't realize that this is not completely a pretense. This is a part of their authentic self. This is the feminine's unrealized potential. Alright, let's go on and take a look at the future of this relationship. First, we're going to take a look at the future of this relationship for the feminine. Okay, first that we have is the Five of Pentacles in reverse. And then we also have the Ace of Wands. Okay, next we have here the King of Wands. Alright. Next, we also have the Nine of Wands in reverse. So, This is very, very interesting. So for the feminine, soon enough, this feminine is going to get out of this lack mentality. This relationship is going to drive the feminine to finally realize their true power and potential. The feminine is going to realize that it's not true that if they're going to be their authentic self, that they're not going to deserve the masculine. That's just not true. Because what this relationship is going to make the feminine realize is that they're not even this Queen of Wands. The feminine is the King of Wands. They are a force to be reckoned with these experiences that they have. They are equipped by this, and this is their stepping stone. It's just a stepping stone that will eventually propel them into becoming their true self, which is this King of Wands. So, if you are the feminine, don't ever think for 1 second that you are a mismatch. Because if your masculine is this King of Pentacles, well, honey, you are the King of Wands. So you each bring something different on the table. This relationship is going to make the feminine realize and see opportunities that they can just grab to become this. And the only downside that I'm seeing here is that this feminine is not going to be ready for this amount of success that's going to be thrown their way if they're just going to be true to themselves. Because whereas what the masculine has is material stability, it's the feminine who has all of the inspired ideas that will eventually change their life. Alright, let's see what's on the masculine side for the future of this relationship. First, we have the Six of Pentacles in reverse. The next, we have the Five of Cups in reverse. And finally, we have the Page of Wands. Ooh. Alright, let me just go on ahead and address this one. So this is a little bit of a sensitive topic, but please bear with me. With that Six of Pentacles in reverse, with all these things happening for the feminine, the masculine no longer needs to worry about having to support the feminine. And when I say that, let's just be honest here, I mean it financially. Now, please don't be offended, because it's not like this masculine doesn't want to. In fact, if it was completely up to them, they definitely would. It's just that the wealth that they have is not solely theirs. This is in the family. So they don't really have the complete say on it. But given any chance, this masculine will invest in the ideas of the feminine. However, even if I think that's the case, that the masculine will do that, I don't think that the feminine will even accept it. Because this is a very independent feminine. And I just want to point out that one of the reasons why this comes up here is because this masculine has had some kind of experience like that before. It's a little bit of like a trauma. That's why here with the mirror, that this relationship triggers them, is because at first the masculine was wary about the feminine, knowing that the feminine has a mask, because the masculine initially will have fears that what if the feminine does that to them, that they experience that again. Because they have before. They've experienced having people, could even be an ex-lover, who used them just for monetary or financial gain. So that's what I'm talking about, that it was a bit of a sore spot for the masculine. But as soon as they realize that that's not how the feminine is like, and actually even when they fear that the feminine might be like that, there's just so much passion in this connection that they still wouldn't have been able to help themselves despite their fear. That's one of the reasons why this relationship gets propelled forwards. This masculine, despite having insecurities as well of whether they are strong enough to be able to help and support the feminine in the things that they want to do, because the feminine is the one with enterprising ideas. But the masculine at first always doubted whether they had the strength. And with this taking off for the feminine, so the masculine doesn't need to worry anymore on whether they have enough to offer, to help, and to support the feminine with. Because the feminine's got it all under control. The feminine's just not prepared at how successful this thing, whatever this is, that the feminine would be venturing into. So now, with the success of this feminine, the masculine can just focus on, how am I going to say this as decently as possible? While the feminine is busy working on their success, the masculine can just focus on teasing the feminine. If you know what I mean. And I mean it sexually. Because this here is a very playful energy. This masculine will vie for the feminine's attention. There's a childish quality to this, but it's in a very attractive way. I'm seeing a scenario in my head wherein the feminine is busy working, the masculine is just somewhere there around them, and the masculine starts to kiss the feminine, sort of to distract them from their work, but actually the masculine's intention is just to de-stress the feminine a little bit. So they do this the more that they see the feminine getting stressed or being too focused that the feminine's not even taking a break. So this is what this masculine is going to do. Or if these two people aren't together, then this is going to be done via their online communication. And this here for the masculine with this Page of Wands, this wasn't supposed to include any sex life reading, but this is strongly coming across. So this masculine will dirty talk the feminine and tease the feminine so much. That's all that I can say. You guys can just go figure it out for yourselves once it's already happened. I'm not going to say anything more. Okay, moving on. We're going to take a look at the shared space energy for the future of this relationship. Now, the first that we have, very gorgeous. We have the Fool. Next is the Four of Wands. Ain't that something? Oh my gosh. And finally, we have the Seven of Wands in reverse. What am I saying? This is such a fiery connection. That's all I can say. The sparks are through the roof. Now, this tells me that once the acts are dropped, once the guards are down between these two people, they're going to have so many new beginnings together. Not just this relationship. This is like, for me, it's a renewal of this relationship. It's like taking the dynamics of the relationship to the next level, especially with that Four of Wands. And I'm not promising you anything. I am just letting you know. But the Four of Wands, this is the celebration card. And typically, and most tarot readers would tell you this, but this symbolizes marriage. So take that how you like. But anyway, with the Seven of Wands in reverse here, it's like just not having to fight so hard for this relationship to work out. It's like not having to do so much just to make this work. It's like it just automatically does. For me, it's as if the only hard thing in this relationship was the coming together. All the hard parts was only here at the start. But after that, once you're both completely honest with yourselves and with this relationship, then it's like just snap, 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 everything going into place. Both in the relationship and, as you can see here, especially with the feminine side, in their individual lives. And that's very beautiful. Okay, let's go on ahead and take a look at your oracle cards. I'm just going to clean up the tarot. So these are your oracle cards. We have one for each, the feminine, the masculine, as well as the shared energy. We are going to start off first with the Healing Mantra Oracle deck. So for the feminine, you have Embracing Worthiness. It says, I feel worthiness filling every cell of my body, and it feels amazing. That's just wonderful. See, this is what I am talking about. There's no need to be so insecure with the masculine because you are already worthy. You just need to come and unlock your full potential. Whereas for the masculine, it's illuminating the truth. I am willing to see things clearly no matter the outcome. That is perfect. And for me, this is pertaining in particular to unraveling the feminine's mask. This tells me that the masculine shouldn't be too fast to judge or assume anything about the feminine, and instead focus on just finding out the truth. And finally, what you both need to work on in this relationship is befriending pain. When discomfort becomes a friend, my most limiting beliefs are healed. I think that is wonderful for the two of you. Do not cower away from the challenges and pain brought about by the situations and by the relationship. The moment that you start to accept and confront the things that hurt you and the relationship, then it's the first step to healing those things. Then it becomes easier to address those things. Pain is always going to be a part of love. It's actually one of the proofs that you have loved. And once you embrace that, then you can do something about it. Next, we're going to look into the Whispers of Love Oracle for some more advice for each of you, as well as for this relationship, so that you can attract more love into your life. So first off, for the feminine, it says, slow down, pause and allow things to unfold. And then for the masculine, it says, Love makes the difference. Love helps heal past hurts and provides a sense of security and self-worth. And for the shared energy, it says new love. Embrace an opportunity for love in your work prospects or for spiritual growth. I think that these are just wonderful and utterly accurate for the situation. So for the feminine, this is telling the feminine to just slow down. There's no need to be this person that's so on all the time. If sometimes you feel like you need to just retreat, then by all means do so. You don't need to chase the masculine just to be with them, because this masculine isn't going anywhere. If you're not up for something, then just be honest about it. There's nothing wrong in that. Doesn't make you any less of a person. And at the same time, this tells me that once you do start being on a roll in your endeavors, once things start to take off, then remember to take a break sometimes. Your cue for that it's time for you to take a break, is during the times that the masculine starts to tease and vie for your attention. That means that it's time to de-stress first before you continue working on your goals again. And then for the masculine, like I mentioned, previous hurts in previous relationships or situations where they got taken advantage of, all the masculine needs to do is to allow this love to come in. And this is what's going to heal them, because they're going to find out that this feminine is a different person, that this feminine is not out to use them. And even though at first they're going to be completely triggered by the feminine, that's still part of the healing process. The more that they accept the love of this relationship, the more that their past wounds are going to be healed. And finally, for the shared space, new love. This is coinciding with the Fool that we have for the future of this relationship. So once the complete honesty is established on both sides, then it's going to be like a new love. Because it's going to be like finally meeting each other for real for the first time. So there's going to be this new appreciation for each other that will allow these two people's feelings for each other to blossom even further. This is so beautiful. Finally, we're going to take a look at the Romance Angel Oracle for any other messages or insight regarding the future of this relationship. Okay. For the feminine, we have give your relationship a chance. Work on your partnership. Okay. For the masculine, we have romantic feelings. Your feelings are real and worth exploring. And finally, for the shared energies, stay optimistic about your love life. Positive thinking and faith will bring you romance. So I just think that these are so wonderful. For the feminine, yeah, basically just give the masculine a chance to prove to you that even if you were your full authentic selves, that they'd still love you. Work on building a solid and stable foundation for this relationship by being completely honest and true to who you are. You also don't have to keep being so independent anymore. You now have this person who's willing to just be there by your side, whatever it is that you're going to need. Don't be afraid to include them in your endeavors as well, because then it would be like you two are just basically a team. And then for our masculine here, what can I say? It's just basically embrace the feelings that the masculine has in this relationship from the very start. Even though it's a risk of what if they just get hurt again? Well, what if this is the real thing? And based on everything here, it is. This is something that you're never going to know unless you give it a shot. And finally, stay optimistic about your love life. So, yeah, basically just keep on pushing through because there's always going to be challenges. It's not exclusive to this relationship. All relationships experience these challenges. But both of these people just need to have faith in each other in this connection. And in the Lord above who's watching over this relationship. It's a matter of staying optimistic and knowing that the hard times are not permanent. It's only at the start of the relationship when you still haven't established the foundation of the relationship. So yeah, there we go, my Harrower number 4. If you would like to learn more about these situations, if you have specific questions about your relationship that you would like to get answers to, feel free to book a personal reading with me. So you can just send me a message through my Facebook page. All of the details and the instructions will be listed in the description below. So that's it for today. You have received your divine message. May God bless you and keep on cultivating. Bye!